Why should a company hire you and not just use AI? That's the question that's being posed right now by Shopify's CEO and by many CEOs across the country. What is the unique value proposition that humans bring versus what we can use with AI? My name is Jason Roberts. I'm a recruiter. I've been a recruiter for 25 years. And what I want to do is spend the next few minutes diving into what makes the human value proposition unique in the face of new AI challenges. Now, before we get started, I'd like to invite you to use some AI instead of being worried about AI in your job search. We've been building a new tool called Betterthing.ai. And what this does is streamline some of the problems that we face, meaning you have to apply to a bunch of jobs and you've got to find jobs. You've got to customize your resume for every job. So what I thought might be useful is if we just did that for you using the AI that we've been talking about. Here's how that works. You go to www.betterthing.ai. I'll put a link to it right here for you if that's easier. And you can use our free tool and you upload a resume, it searches for a job, you find a job that you like, it uses AI to automatically customize your resume for that job, and then you can use that to apply for the job right there on that page. We built this just for you. The video that you watch that you're most interested in, we get the most feedback about, is how to use ChatGPT to customize your resume for a job. We built the tool to make that even easier than it's ever been before. That's our free gift to you. Thank you for joining us today. Now let's dive into the human value proposition. All right, now let's talk about the human value proposition. Now the big deal here is that there's a blurring between what humans do and what technology does. That's the whole thing with AI. In fact, when almost 4,000 workers were surveyed by Deloitte at the end of 2024, 54% said that the thing they're most worried about is the blurring distinction between humans and machines. The second thing they're most worried about is failure in collaboration. And then finally, fewer opportunities that are made available to them. So there's a significant change in the way that we're seeing our work now that machines are here and now that AI is here. In fact, there's this whole thing that happens now where they say one thing is happening, but the way that it feels to us as workers is something very different. So they say something like, AI improves our productivity and well-being. It reduces our workload. In real life, we feel like, well, they'll just give us more stuff then that we have to accomplish. So if I only have to make 10 widgets, but with AI, I can do it faster, they'll make me make 15 widgets, right? Isn't that what's going to happen? 77% of people who are employed said AI had increased their workload and decreased their productivity. That's interesting, right? Or how about AI makes our work easier? What about the flip side of that, which is the actual work ends up getting harder and more complex because we're leaning on AI to do more and more of it. So the work itself gets more complex. How about AI empowers us with new tools and agency, but it removes flexibility and decreases autonomy on the flip side? There's always a pro and a con that's involved in every one of these things. And what we've got to figure out is, what is our human value proposition? Now, everyone has to come up with a value proposition, and you have to be good at what you're doing and understand what your value proposition is versus other employees, versus other competitors for a job if you're applying for jobs. In this case, you have to figure out what your value is in comparison to the AI, to the machine itself. Now, let's go through some examples. There are some places where there's very low AI competition. Some of those places might be things like blue-collar work, like plumbers and electricians and mechanics, because the AI is not as much about the knowledge of the thing, though it is a certified thing, and I don't know how to do any of it, honestly. But at some point, it's a lot about being able to actually physically, with your hands, do that work. And so far, we don't have humanoid machines that can do the same things as our electricians and our mechanics and things can do. So that's not going to be easily replaced by AI today. So the value prop is actually dexterity in that case. So it's dexterity and the ability to go and actually do the work. That's the human value proposition. What is that in accounting? What's the human value proposition for an accountant? Well, I know all the tax laws and I can do all the things. AI knows them better. I'm really good at researching really unique text code so I can help a client out. AI is better at that too. I'm able to be very creative in the application of laws and make it so that my employer is able to employ unique strategies for their business. That's interesting. So creativity in that case might be the human value proposition. I don't know if that's the real thing. I'm not an accountant. So that's it. How about a software developer? Well, I know syntax and I can write code pretty well. So can AI. I can write complex code and understand how to connect one system to another and solve multi-system problems. That's interesting. AI can't do that yet. It can do unique individual tasks, but it can't do the multi-system problem and ultimate overall problem solving. I can create an overall architecture and map out the way that this unique system should apply to the business. AI can't do that yet. I can apply what's happening here to your business context because I understand both the functional pieces of the business and the technical aspects of the coding. AI can't do that yet. So what can AI do and what can it not do in your individual industry? It's something to think about. You've got to come up with your human value proposition for your job, just like you have to come up with your unique value proposition versus any other competitors for that job. When you do an interview, make sure you underscore what makes you unique. What is your value proposition in that job? I'd love to hear you come back with what your thoughts are on your unique value propositions, what you think about the idea of a human value proposition. And also, I want to remind you, you can sign up for the private beta at launch of Betterthing.ai. There's a link right here, or you can just put in the URL, Betterthing.ai, www.betterthing.ai, and that is there for you. Best of luck in your job search.